I'm Natalie Chen, 32 years old, and for 5 long years, I built my tech company quietly, under the radar, while my family dismissed my work as a phase and said I was throwing away my potential. Tonight, everything changed. At my brother's engagement dinner, his fiancée looked at me across the table and said, "Wait, you're the founder of HealthBridge?" The stunned silence that followed. I'll never forget it. My father's fork froze midair. My mother blinked twice. My brother's fiancée grinned and whispered, "Your app helped my company scale. We studied your user interface in meetings." That one sentence, that one moment, made every lonely night, every doubting voice, and every holiday dinner where they pitted me, worth it. If you've ever had your dreams dismissed by the people you love most, hit like and subscribe. This is my story, and maybe it'll give you the courage to keep going. Growing up in Lakewood Hills, a quiet, upper-class suburb just outside Minneapolis, meant living within a strict framework of expectations. My father, Dr. Thomas Chen, was a renowned neurosurgeon, one of the best in the Midwest. My mother, Margaret, was a high-powered litigation attorney who prided herself on her spotless win record. Our home was less a house and more a carefully curated museum of achievement. Every wall held framed degrees, awards, or certificates, most of them belonging to my older brother, Daniel. Daniel was 4 years ahead of me and had never once colored outside the lines. National Merit Scholar. Ivy League pre-med. Now a surgical resident and a golden boy in the Chen family legacy. Every family dinner started the same way. Mom would sip her wine and say, "So, what did everyone accomplish today?" Daniel would go first. Aced another exam. Got invited to shadow a top surgeon. Secured a spot on a research paper. Then it was my turn. "I built a website today," I said once at 15, beaming with pride. I had just spent the weekend learning HTML and CSS. Mom's smile thinned. "That's nice, sweetheart. But shouldn't you focus on debate team? You're captain. Now, remember? Law schools like consistent involvement." Dad didn't say much, he never did unless it was about medicine, but he gave that familiar nod and pivoted the conversation right back to Daniel. In our house, code was a toy. Real success wore a white coat or a courtroom suit. By high school, I was obsessed with coding. I decorated my bedroom walls not with posters or paintings, but with sticky notes of algorithms and flowcharts. While Daniel's trophies gleamed in glass cases, I kept my Python guides under my pillow like a diary. One year, I built an event management tool for our school's annual charity drive. It automated scheduling, budgeting, and volunteer coordination. The PTA president was floored. "Your daughter's a genius," she told my parents. My mom smiled politely. "Oh, Natalie dabbles in lots of things. We're working on her Yale application this year." Pre-law. I'd never mentioned Yale. I hadn't mentioned law school. They'd already decided. Then came the regional coding competition in my junior year. I'd spent months building an inventory tracking system from scratch. The finals were the same weekend as Daniel's medical school acceptance party. "We're so sorry, honey," Mom said, without an ounce of actual regret. "But you understand, right? This is a big deal for your brother. Maybe next year." I went to the competition alone. The only finalist without family cheering from the bleachers, and I won. First placed. I came home, trophy in hand, to a house echoing with champagne toasts. My dad gave me a quick, distracted, "Good job," before asking Daniel about his clinical rotations. That night, something hardened inside me. I stopped seeking their approval. I wasn't going to live my life as a supporting character in Daniel's story. Senior year came, and with it, the looming terror of college applications. My parents wanted Yale or Princeton. Instead, I applied to Midwest Tech, a lesser-known state school with an elite computer science program. When my acceptance came, with a full merit scholarship, I was elated. My parents were not. "You're throwing away your future," my dad said. Mom raised an eyebrow. "Computer science? That's a fallback major, Natalie. You're capable of more." Daniel chimed in with a condescending chuckle. Maybe she just needs to get it out of her system before law school. I left that fall with a duffel bag full of tech dreams and A silent vow, they don't need to believe in me, I'll believe enough for all of us. College was a breath of fresh, electrified air to AT Midwest Tech. No one rolled their eyes when I talked about automation or front-end frameworks. I met people who saw code as poetry. None more than Maya Fernandez, the girl who sat next to me in advanced algorithms and debugged my code like she could read my mind. We clicked instantly. While others were struggling with projects, Maya and I were building extras just for the thrill of it. One night in the campus cafe, she showed me an article about hospital miscommunication errors. My aunt died because a lab report got misfiled, Maya said quietly. The systems are broken. That conversation changed everything. We didn't sleep for the next week. On whiteboards, napkins, even our dorm walls, we sketched the first ideas for what would become HealthBridge, a streamlined communication platform to help healthcare providers and patients share information in real time. Summers at home were worse than finals. Daniel's updates? Applauded. My startup stuff? Barely tolerated. I'm sure you'll get an IT support job eventually, my uncle once said, patting my shoulder. What they didn't know, Maya and I were coding day and night in her parents' garage in Chicago. Her mom brought us snacks. Her dad asked thoughtful questions about APIs. The difference between her family and mine was night and day. By junior year, we had a working prototype. We started entering competitions. Winning enough to pay for our patent applications and file paperwork to incorporate our company. Our first advisor was a hospital administrator named Dr. Harriet Bloom, who took one look at our platform and said, "How soon can we implement this?" We were 21 after college. We turned down 3 buyout offers from larger companies. We knew HealthBridge was bigger than just a quick payday. We wanted to build something that could actually change the system. By 28, we had raised over $8 million. In venture capital, the AT29, a Fortune 500 company, tried to buy us for $30 million. We turned it down. A few months later, Skyline Ventures offered to invest $30 million for a minority stake, valuing HealthBridge at over $100 million. At that time, we said yes. I asked that only my first name be used in the press release, Natalie, co-founder and CEO, the articles read. Maya's smiling photo appeared next to a silhouette marked with my name. IT wasn't about hiding, IT was about staying in control. Don't you want credit? Maya asked once after a conference where I avoided the cameras. No, I replied. I want impact. And I want to choose when the world sees me. That moment came unexpectedly at my brother's engagement dinner. I hadn't seen Daniel in months. His fiancée, Claire, was warm and talkative, asking about my consulting work. I gave my usual vague answer, but then Claire paused. Sorry, wait. You said tech consulting? Yes, I said carefully. Sorry, I'm in health tech, she laughed. We recently adopted an interface design from this brilliant company, HealthBridge. Their API is amazing. I didn't say anything. I didn't need to. She tilted her head. Wait. Your name? Natalie. Natalie Chen? You're the Natalie from HealthBridge? I just smiled. Claire's eyes widened. You built HealthBridge? The table fell silent. My mother put her wine glass down. My father blinked. Daniel's fork hit his plate. Claire beamed. Your platform helped my company reduce patient wait times by 40%. We study your UX diagrams in meetings. My mother finally spoke. You built that? Yes, I said calmly. I'm the founder. The silence lasted 5 more seconds before Claire burst into a stream of praise. My brother looked like he'd seen a ghost. All those years, they thought I was lost, directionless, wasting potential. They had no idea I was changing an entire industry. That night, after the dinner, my mom called. I didn't realize. She started, trailing off. I let her words hang. You've done something incredible, she finished. I smiled. I know. Asterisk, if you're reading this from a place where your dreams are misunderstood, where the people closest to you don't see your vision, don't give up. Your story doesn't need their permission to unfold. Your impact doesn't require their applause. Sometimes, the sweetest victory is the look on their faces when they finally realize. You were never lost, you were building something extraordinary. In silence, the morning after that dinner, I woke up to a string of missed calls from my mom and a text from Daniel. Daniel, did you seriously build a $100 million company and not tell anyone? I stared at it for a while, debating whether to reply. Eventually, I typed to me, "You weren't listening." I didn't hit send. Instead, I got up, showered, and walked into the Healthbridge office, the space Maya and I had dreamed of years ago, on sticky notes and diner napkins. The lobby still smelled faintly like fresh paint. The company had grown to over 80 employees. But the foundation was the same: design with empathy, move with clarity, and never compromise on integrity. Maya met me by the espresso machine. "So," she said with a grin, "you coming out of founder stealth mode now?" I smirked. "Claire outed me. You should thank her." I shrugged. Honestly? Watching my mom drop her wine glass in slow motion was thanks enough. Maya laughed. "You're awful. Only when I need to be." Later that week, I got an invitation, not from my family, from Harvard Medical School. They wanted me to speak on a panel about healthcare innovation. I checked the list of co-panelists, and there it was: Dr. Thomas Chen, Chief of Neurosurgery, Lakewood Medical. My father. I stared at the screen for a long time. Part of me wanted to decline. The old me, the version who still bent under their expectations, wanted to stay safe in the shadows, but the version of me who survived years of being overlooked, she was ready. 2 months later, I walked onto that stage in Boston, wearing a tailored navy blazer and low heels that clicked with every step. The auditorium buzzed with quiet awe. Everyone knew who I was now. Amaya sat in the front row, mouthing, "You got this." I sat 3 chairs down from my father. He didn't look at me right away. He was speaking to the moderator. Polished. In control, then his eyes flicked toward me. I didn't smile. I didn't need to. When the moderator introduced me, Natalie Chen, co-founder and CEO of Healthbridge, the applause felt different. Like recognition. Not approval. When it was my turn to speak, I said, "Healthcare innovation isn't just about new tools, it's about reimagining how people are treated within the system. Patients aren't files. Doctors aren't machines. And if we're not designing for empathy, we're designing for failure." My father looked over then, really looked, and for the first time in my life, he nodded, not the patronizing nod. Not the dismissive one, not a real one. A quiet acknowledgement. Afterward, in the hallway, he approached me. There was an awkward pause, like we were both rehearsing scripts we hadn't practiced in years. Then he said, "You were brilliant." I raised an eyebrow. "You sound surprised." His face softened. "I am." He hesitated. "We didn't understand what you were doing. And we should have." I should have. I let that sit for a second. Then nodded. "Thanks." He cleared his throat. "I'd like to invest. Personally. If you're open to it." I smiled. "You're a bit late to the round." He laughed, surprised. Touché. That night, Mia and I had dinner at a rooftop restaurant overlooking the Charles River. "So," she said, sipping her sangria, "what does our quiet tech queen do next?" I leaned back, watching the city glow beneath the dusk expand. I said. Maya raised an eyebrow. "New markets. Southeast Asia. Europe. We're ready. We've proven the model. Now we scale." She grinned. "We've got our work cut out for us." I nodded, thinking of every late night, every ignored idea, every family dinner where I was told I wasn't enough, and I said, "Good. I'm done asking for permission." 2 weeks after the Harvard panel, I received an email from an unfamiliar address with a subject line that made me freeze mid-coffee sip. Subject, Healthbridge, regulatory delay in Asia. Market. It was from an official in Singapore's health technology office. Apparently, a third-party complaint had been filed against our medical data architecture, citing security flaws and potential patient risk. I forwarded the email to Maya and called her immediately. "Someone's trying to jam us up," I said before she could even say hello. "Already on it," she replied. "This complaint is paper thin. I'm checking who submitted it." An hour later, she sent me a screenshot. The complaint had come from a corporate email tied to Medifast Systems, a competitor we'd beaten out in 3 pilot programs last quarter. I stared at the screen, the same way I used to stare at a blank coding interface when I was 16, not with panic, but with sharp, gathering focus. They're scared, Maya said. Good, I replied. Let's give them a reason to be. I flew to Singapore the next day. I didn't tell my family. The HealthBridge Southeast Asia team had already secured meetings with the Ministry of Health. I spent the next 48 hours walking government officials through our encryption protocols, compliance documents, and patient success outcomes. By day 3, the complaint had been officially dropped, but I wasn't finished. I scheduled a press briefing, not to retaliate, but to clarify. When asked about the complaint, I said, when you disrupt the status quo, resistance is expected. Our mission is to improve lives, not play politics. Our record stands. And so does our commitment to secure, empathetic care. The room fell silent after that, then applause, not for the performance, but for the clarity on the flight back to Chicago. I finally opened Daniel's text again. Did you seriously build a $100 million company and not tell anyone? This time, I responded, I told you. You just didn't listen. A few seconds later, the typing bubble popped up, then disappeared, then came back. Fair enough. Hey, any chance you're hiring? I stared at it for a long time. A year ago, that message would have sent me into a spiral, wondering if I should be the bigger person, wondering if helping him would finally make my family proud. Now it just made me tired. I texted back, we have an application portal. Same as everyone else. No hard feelings, but no handouts either. Back in Chicago, I returned to a new kind of noise. For years, I'd moved quietly, hidden behind vague bios and initials on pitch decks. Now the press wanted features. Podcasts wanted interviews. Conferences sent keynote invites. Maya and I had always planned to stay focused on the product, but I knew the tide was turning. Visibility was no longer optional. It was part of leadership. So I made a decision that we'd step into the light, but we'd do it our way. No magazine fluff pieces. No stories about female tech founders defying odds, with patronizing undertones. We launched our own blog, told our own story, shared our research, our impact data, and the stories of patients whose lives had changed because of HealthBridge. Point 1 post in particular went viral. It featured a single quote from a mother whose child had finally received a proper diagnosis because her health records could now be shared seamlessly across specialists. I thought we'd spend our lives searching for answers. HealthBridge gave us a voice. That quote lived in my head for weeks, not because it was flattering, but because it reminded me why I started. IT was never about proving my family wrong. IT was about proving patients right. Then, out of nowhere, my mother called. It was 7:42 p.m. I was still at the office reviewing hiring plans for our international team. I stared at the caller ID until the screen went dark. Then I picked up, "Hi, Mom." Silence on the other end. Then I saw the article in Modern Health Tech. I didn't respond. They quoted you, she added. And Maya. Very well written. Thanks. Another pause. Then her voice shifted, less courtroom, more cautious. I didn't understand what you were doing. And I'm sorry for how I dismissed it. Dismissed you. I took a breath. Thanks for saying that. It wasn't a dramatic reunion. No tears. No sudden invitation to brunch, but it was the closest thing to acknowledgement I'd ever gotten from her, and strangely, it didn't change much, because I'd already moved on. I'd built a life she couldn't define, and couldn't deny either. Next month, Mia and I signed a partnership deal with the World Health Alliance to pilot HealthBridge in 3 developing countries. At the signing ceremony, the chairwoman turned to me and said, "You're not just a founder. You're a force." I smiled, not because I finally believed it, but because I always had.